Huh.
Hey folks, it's Dane at Jonah Guitar, and I've just bound the LPJ, peeling tape off of it, and what I'm going to do is peel the tape off it, and then I'm just going to go around the edges and just squirt a little extra acetone on them, because I know I didn't get any in some places where I had tape, so I'm just going to go around it real quick, just make sure I get everything covered. So let's do that. There we go. I'm just going to fast forward through some of this, and then pull out the glue syringe and do that. I did want to mention that binding the arm contour was slightly problematic, and in that when I cut it with the router base was actually hitting this, so I had to modify the router that I built, and so yeah, you can see that follows that line there. And that will all, just be neatly filed in. Also, when you're bending this with heat and pushing down and heating and all that, you burn the snot out of yourself, and it's the other thing you do. Oh, you just wear your thumb out. It's because you're pulling that tape real hard and mashing on everything. Yeah, overall, I'm really happy with that. That's going to clean up and look really good. Anyway, so I'll bring you back in here when I start squirting some acetone on this thing. All right, we'll see you in a minute. All right, one thing I'm going to mention here is this is the first time I've done a whole binding job with just acetone, and it's fantastic. First few I did, I used the glue that Stu Mack sells. It's some sort of acetone based stuff, and all the glues that I've used just over the years have just dried really fast. You're trying to get it in between the binding and the binding channel, and get it all glued down, so you're erasing the glue in that point. This way you can just tape the binding on where you want, leave a little gap here and there so you can squirt some acetone in, and that's exactly what I did. Now, I had taken the last several years of just putting it on with, CA glue or super glue. And that works fairly well, except that it leaves a residue. It'll stain the wood. If you were doing a natural color guitar and you did that, you'd have to seal the channel first, and, the end grain and all that, so it didn't suck in there and stain it. But the acetone, this is going to get painted anyway, but the acetone doesn't stay in there. It dries, and then it's gone. So you don't have a residue. Doesn't seal the pores. So if you were trying to do some stain or something on it, it would not take stain evenly or anything. So that's great. So I am going to turn you down here again. All I'm going to do now is just run. Like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and run some get in the picture, Dane. Just going to run some acetone around the edges, and I'll just do a section and then skip it and do another section, and just keep doing that until I've got everything covered, so I'm sure that I got acetone everywhere. And the same along the edge, I'll just hit the edges kind of sporadically and go back and make sure that I've got everything covered eventually. The main reason there is I don't want to have so much on it that I loosen it and it starts popping out on places on me. So here we go. Nifty glue syringe with the smallest needle. So let's just start down here in the cutout. I'm guessing you can see this. Yeah. All right, it doesn't, I mean, it floods right in there. I just hit that whole thing. I hope it doesn't pop up. Okay, so I'm going to do the bottom one. I'm going to come over here and do this. Do a section right there. Well, this is the first place I noticed a gap. I looked all over this thing. Yep, I got a slight little gap there. So I'm going to put some down there. I'm just going to push it in and hold it right there. While I'm doing that, I'm going to go shoot left-handed here. Do some over here. So I'm going to go on in between these. Oop. That was doing its job because it's got melted plastic on the edge of that needle. And I don't know what else you might put this fabric down with, but if I'd have done something besides, if I'd used a lacquer base, for instance, this would be not a good idea because it would be melting it all over the place. I'm going to go ahead and pick this edge up. I hadn't done it yet. Okay, that's holding. Yeah, right here is a little problem. I got a couple spots here I didn't notice, so I've got one right here, and I was sure that was tight. I got one right out here. So what I might end up doing is just melting those in with some filler. Make a little acetone and binding paste, and force it down in there. And then when you sand everything out flush, it's still even because you're filling that gap up. But I may just try squeezing on it. You got the idea. Later. I've actually done a lot of work without having the camera on, and kind of forgotten how fast things can happen if you don't have a camera on. Anyway, so I took, let me back. So I got this great big chunk of MDF here that I already had 2 pickup slots cut in for non-trim ringed P90s. You know, these are going to be dog-eared on here. And so I'm using the full-size P90 route now. But the regular P90s look a little sloppy in this size hole, and this is the size that I got when I bought the template. So I reduced the size on, it's a good guitar that I play, the carved top Paduk guitar. There's a video up on my channel if you want to go back and see that. It's the first one in a series, and it's the only one so far, but it's going to be all the guitars that I built that I still have sitting around. I'm going to go back over those and show them. Anyway, so I made a neck pocket recess in this end of this jig. Wasn't there before, and I did the neck pocket over here, not on camera, and so I just modified the jig. I added a third hole, third pickup hole to it because I've got. I need to move this down a little bit because these were spaced too far apart for where they're going to be on this guitar, so I added one here so that we could have. Or I added one there. That's where I went. Anyway, one or the other I added just now. And so now I'm just going to route these pickups out, and we'll just get a little footage of that and throw it up. I put a link up on my forum that I share on called Guitar Attack, and it's been up for about a day and a half, maybe 2 days. Day and a half, I guess, to be fair. And I asked a couple questions, and the questions were, I wanted to do a no pick guard on this skull fabric guitar, and so typically on a single pickup, Les Paul Jr., you have a little longer tenon that runs out under the pick guard. Well, I don't want a pick guard, and so I thought, well, I could make a 24 fret neck, and and just have that be the extra bit of tenon, and that would have worked. This is the more I thought, well, why not just run another pickup in there, and and then I can just extend the tenon under the pickup, and it's not a big deal. And so that's what I decided to do. And I also asked if I would go with the P90s, because that's kind of the stock thing for an LPJ. And an older one, the original ones, and then the other option was just do a humbucker of some sort. So anyway, I didn't get any responses, so I just decided that I was going to do what I wanted to do anyway. So I decided to go 2 pickups, and I decided to go P90s. Kind of had already laid out a P90 and accidentally marked the holes for the cover. Marked as indented the guitar, so I was kind of locked into the P90 at that point. But I like P90s, so that's not an issue. I'm going to readjust things and just let the camera run.